So last up is Jeff Pike. He has been in various manufacturing and service industries over the past 25 years in his roles as quality engineer, supply chain management engineer, and currently as the director of process excellence at Hubble Realty Company. These roles all share a common theme of providing customer value. He is a member of the Iowa Lean Consortium and has a passion to see people and businesses continuously improve. And he's going to share some of that information with us today in Garbage In, Garbage Out, 8 types of waste to eliminate from your company. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. It's pretty exciting to be in front of this audience. Jennifer reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to give a talk? Yeah, who's the audience? And she goes, oh, it's going to be a bunch of attorneys. It's going to be great. I'm like, what would a process guy be doing talking to a bunch of attorneys? But like Jennifer said, a lot of the topics that I'm going to touch on relates to anybody doing anything. You can apply it to home, you can apply it to your work and stuff. I want to kind of dig into that a little bit. So what do we want to learn today? I want to increase the awareness of the value that you're bringing to your customers. I've heard it through the whole session today. There's customers out there, whether they be internal or external. You guys are providing value. How do you increase that awareness? And at the same time, maybe make your lives better. There's some simple techniques that you can use immediately. I'm going to give a little bit of an indication, though. It's not always easy. The techniques are simple, but the implementation is not usually that easy. And then the people part of it. I've heard a lot about it today, the people side of it. It's one thing to have the policy, but are people following it? Are they doing what we need them to be doing? It can be a challenge. And then following kind of the to-do there. It's not me doing it for you. You've got to kind of sit back and think, this is the working on your business part of it. You're in the day-to-day, you're working in your business, but how do you step back and work on the business to get better? This is what we're going to go through today. We're going to talk a little bit about the status quo. I saw it in the last presentation, status quo. It's like, geez, we're just kind of doing this all the time. It's our routine. We're going to get into the 8 ways. And then obviously there has to be a better way, right? What is that better way? And then it's the take action and then the people side of it. Who doesn't have a customer? Anybody? Who are some of our customers? Let's get some engagement. Just generally, what kind of customers are you dealing with? Okay, business units, so kind of an internal customer. Public, yep. Are you hearing some of these things from your customers? Do they want more, need more, faster, cheaper, better quality? Hopefully that cartoon is more of a comedy thing and not somebody out there trying to sway the data that we're trying to use to make our business decisions off of. Our customers can be a challenge. But what's the old saying? Our customers are always right. Okay. How do we work through that? If we look at the status quo, the definition of insanity, pretty straightforward. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Do our customers want different results? Everybody wants progress, but change is tough. So the cartoon, I love this cartoon. How often are we out there just brute force? Get it done, get it done. I don't care how long it's going to take. Let's throw more people at it. Let's just get it done. We had the answer all along. We just need to stop a little bit, sharpen our saw. Let's put it on the round wheels. It's going to go a lot better. We know that. So this is where I get into the process improvement side of it. So before there's a lot of groaning and stuff, process improvement is super simple stuff. It's just getting better day after day. Everybody hears about Toyota and process improvement. All they're doing is looking at the little incremental changes that they can make on a daily basis to improve and get better. And over the course of their whole organization, they've been able to do some tremendous things. So process improvement, who can help me finish this? Process improvement is a method to add more blank to our customers, employees, and shareholders by removing blank in our products and services. Value and waste, absolutely. You guys have done this before. Thank you. So if we get into process improvement, there's a lot to that. It's just it's a huge overarching thing. What is process improvement? It's a collection of tools that get pulled from to use as different issues come up. I have no legal background or anything, but I get the sense that it's that way in the legal world too. Like Jennifer mentioned, I've been in this industry, I've been in this for over 25 years, but I've been doing it in the quality field, the supply management field, and now in the construction real estate field, kind of service type stuff. It applies across the board. I practice much like you guys practice law. I don't get it right all the time. There's always people involved. The tools and techniques are one thing, but you can't necessarily just textbook say, here it is, let's do this, because not every situation is the same. So if we look at process mapping, we sit down and think, okay, this is the process, this is how I do it. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? What happens when we get other teams and colleagues involved? Doesn't quite look the same. Wait, you do that? Why do you do that? You don't need to do that. I thought you did this. Pretty interesting conversations. It's really interesting, the dynamics of a cross-functional team. When you get them in there and say, let's document this process. Let's determine our scope from the beginning to end, and let's just spit out everything that happens. And you know, you get some anxiety, you get stuff up there, and then there's this, well, but then there's this one time this happens. Well, but then this happens and we have to do this. It's how you end up in this, what is actually happening in your process. This is what we strive for. This is getting rid of the garbage in your process. This is making your life better. You're bringing more value to your customers. This is what you strive for. And then the famous quote by Edward Deming is, if you can't describe what you're doing in a process, you don't know what you're doing. A lot of smaller organizations, in my experience, you get started, we're entrepreneurial, we need to start, we need to sell, we need to manufacture, we need to collect the invoice, we need to collect, right? Great, that pays the bills. What happens as you grow? Do you do it the same way every time? I hope so. What happens when that key individual walks out the door? Oh, they had all the knowledge. That's too bad. We didn't document it. Big proponent in documenting. Doesn't have to be detailed and crazy. I'm going to take us through a little bit of an example. Excuse the eye chart up there. This is a type of process map. It's a swim lane. So basically every person that has a major stake in it is in this process. In this case, I'm looking at a contract review process, and the top swim lane, as we call it, is the prospective client or customer, supplier. In the middle is our business associate, and then general counsel at the bottom. Now, as I was coming up with an example to share, it's like, oh, I've got a wide, diverse audience. How do I do this? But I sure hope there's some appreciation for the contract review process. Is people review contracts in here? Yes. Yeah, okay. So, and you can help me with the process. I apologize for not getting you engaged early on, but we can work on this process. So, as an example, this process starts with generating the contract from our supplier based on business needs and terms and conditions. They send it into the business associate who reviews it, receives it, reviews it, and then they're going down their checklist. I love checklists, by the way. That gives us that day-to-day, hey, we've been doing it for 25 years, but you know, there's some things that we learned along the way. Let's not forget about this. We can't keep it all in our heads. So they're going through their checklist and they're saying, oh, is this on their appropriate form? Ah, no, we use their form. All right, circle back. We've got to get it in on the right form. It just doesn't fly with our client. Then they're checking for complete information. Does it always have complete information in it? Maybe, maybe not. So is that an issue for you? Well, yeah, I can't make a ruling or whatever based off of incomplete information. So we're gonna force to make sure that there's complete information. And then they kind of go into a holding waiting pattern. In the meantime, they're handing it off to general counsel, who is receiving and reviewing the contract. Now we have somebody else in the mix trying to get up to speed on what's needed. They may revise the contract for the business needs, and then they're going to go back and maybe ask some clarifying questions. And here again, this is all example. You guys might do it a lot more streamlined, but this is pretty typical of not a current process I've dealt with, but something pretty similar in the past. They're going to go through a red line change process. Goes back to our business associate who's reviewing those changes. Then there's some questions that are asked. Are all business conditions included? If not, we're circling back. If so, then we're going to send it back to our supplier, let them review it, let them go through their checklist. If not, we might circle back. And then finally, we get through the final approval. And then we receive it, and then guess what? We have to forward it to somebody else and let them also review it and save it on in their file structure. How's this for a process? Look pretty good? All right? All right. Case closed. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about waste. Now, when I talk about waste, it's anything that the customer's not willing to pay for. You know, that payment might be, you know, financial. It might be in time. You know, if we're billing by the hour, those are things the customer doesn't want to pay for that. But it's the burden that we're putting on the system that is forcing them to make that change. Here again, they want a cheaper price, better quality. They want it delivered on time, better quality. I already said that, but they're not willing to pay for it. And it is adding unnecessary cost. So what are the 8 wastes? In the handout, and I will point out, I'm going to go with the, let's compare the number of slides that I have compared to everybody else. No offense to them. They've done a great job. I was just a little bit more timely on the updates to my slides, missed the deadline. Apologize. But they are going to be available. If anybody wants them, I can forward them through and we can make those available. But that 8 waste slide, the one that's in there is one that I would say is really the one to reference. This isn't common stuff, but it's pretty straightforward stuff. And the acronym, if you haven't figured it out already, the first letter in each one of them is downtime. Nobody wants downtime in their process. Now, a lot of this traditionally came from manufacturing. You don't want the machines down. You're not making money if the machines are down. But what happens if your ERP system goes down? What happens if your payroll system goes down? None of that's acceptable either. What happens if that key critical person that has the valuable document in their email chain, what happens if they're on vacation? Downtime. So I want to take us through each individual points here through the next 8 slides. And I'm going to ask for some feedback on actual waste that you're seeing in your operations. Now, you can, since everybody's already streamlined and efficient, you could say, well, hey, you know, I know of somebody. You can hide behind that. That's fine. So if we look at defects first, a defect occurs when a product or service does not meet customer expectations. Any examples of any defects that you guys see in your worlds? Go ahead.
Software that doesn't meet service level.
Absolutely. They didn't pay for that, did they? They wanted to meet. Yeah. Product defects too. What's happening in this picture? Let's get in by the car to be stranded alongside the road. Any other examples of defects? Does anybody deal with forms, paperwork? Yeah. Is it always right? Sometimes not. Those are defects. That's pain that we feel in our process. We just want to process it, but now I got that form, that document, it's not right. I got to circle back around to somebody else. Overproduction. What's going on in this picture? Looks like a car manufacturer. So overproduction, we're making too much product or service when there's no customer demand. How would that relate to your worlds? Any overproduction? There's some hints in that the 8 waste document there too about overproduction in the service world. When invoices come in, do they come in exactly when we want them, only one at a time so we can pay and process that? I've seen stacks of invoices. That's overproduction. Bingo, yeah, reports that we run that nobody knows why. Those are fun. You know what I like to do is just not do them every now and then. Yeah. Try it, it's fun. Waiting. You guys have to wait? Yeah. Painful. You just want to do your job, but you're waiting on, who are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? Give me some examples. Approvals. Yeah. Do we need those approvals? More decisions. Absolutely. Not utilizing talent. This is probably one of them that when I started in this business, you know, it wasn't quite obvious to me. Like, you know, we bring on highly talented people. We go through the HR process. We bring them on. We're like, this is what you need. We need you to do. And then guess what? We was like, well, here, just do these reports for us. We're not going to use them. We don't tell them that. We're not going to use them, but just go ahead and do these reports. But then guess what? The skills and talents and expertise that we hired them for aren't being utilized. Think about your operations. Are we using everybody's talents, your talents, like we should? Are you in the day-to-day minutia? Transportation. Kind of a dated photo, but people used to actually go to banks to put checks in their accounts. Do we do that much anymore? No. One technology that I've seen used a lot lately that is just, you know, great, DocuSign. The sending documents around. We don't have to put them in the mail and wait for somebody else. You know, that waiting, that, you know, excessive processing. Leverage DocuSign. Hey, wow, it's right on my phone. This is great. I sign it, boom. You know, it's great. You know, we're speeding up that process. We've relieved that pain from our day-to-day because we don't have to wait. We don't have to mail it. Unfortunately, the post office might be feeling some pains from that, but they'll get through it. Inventory. Anybody from the city here? I hope not. So inventory is not just in the form of the goods that we provide, but we might have too many resources on something. We might have too much forms, too many documents. You know, in the manufacturing world, we talk about just in time. Let's just get what we need when we need it at the right time so we can consume it and move on. Whether it be something that's happened in the past or a glitch in the system, sometimes we tend to say, oh, yeah, I've got to inflate it a little bit. And then guess what? The person down the hall, since we ran out of pins one time, the person down the hall has got their box of pins too. And then there's 3 or 4 more throughout the organization that have them too. So inventory is the waste. These are the things that we want to challenge ourselves. Do we really need this stuff? Now, back to the discussion on compliance and regulatory. I don't have any regulations that are guiding this, but these are just good things to do. Motion. You might not have to walk around all day to get what you need, but let's talk about your computer systems. Can you get to the file you need when you need it? Do you always find it? Yeah, I mean, I've seen a bunch of head nodding, and my God, why not? What's going on? We're smart people. We wouldn't create more work for ourselves, right? Do we all organize the same way? I want directory, subdirectory, directory, directory, directory. No. Motion. We spend a lot of time just finding information. The last one is excessive processing. I talked a little bit about the DocuSign. You know, we can get documents out there today in this technology and process it and get it completed. It's pretty straightforward. Any questions or comments on the waste? Anybody want to share anything that they have? Any challenges? When I first learned of this, it was, you know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's pretty straightforward. But sitting back, identifying it in your operations can be a challenge because you're like, no, that's just right. I should go from my desk down to the front desk to get an envelope, then come back, have somebody else fill it out, and then take it over to accounting. And then guess what? I've got to wait over there because the right person isn't there. Is that our day-to-day? I challenge that it doesn't have to be. But it takes a little bit of work to flip to the other side of that, because guess what? We're all humans. We all have behaviors. So let's go back and look at the process that we said it was standard. It's great. There's some waste there. When we're checking to make sure if it's on the appropriate form or appropriate information is complete, those are defects. It should just be good. Is the system there that it's providing the right information? When it gets down to the review and receive contract, is our general counsel just waiting for that one to be reviewed? You know, probably have a couple more on the desk. Yeah. How do you prioritize? Is it hot, hot? How many hots do you have? This is hot, 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 hot priority. Yeah, exactly. That's your inventory. I heard it said if you really want to see how well your operation's going, go look at your inventory. For a manufacturer, that's easy. For somebody in the service world, it might not be as easy, but look at your invoices. Look at your contracts. Look at some of this stuff that's out there just stacking up. You can't see it. In cubicle world, you can't see it. Everybody's busy though, right? Are they productive? Those are the challenges. This waste is buried in the operation. You don't see it. This is what your customer doesn't want to pay for. This is the garbage that's driving your cost up. We've got a couple of waiting in there. We don't want to wait. We want to get what we need. It's, you know, especially in this day and age, instant gratification. We've got to go, 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 go. And then, geez, look what happened here. We use all the skills and expertise of our general counsel because, you know, we said we're not going to waste our talent. We use their skills, but then the business associate went back and reviewed the red lines and, you know, kind of challenged it. Shouldn't we have some confidence that we're going to get what we need? Now here again, some of this might seem far-fetched, but some of this is very visible in organizations. And then after that, we're doing some extra motion, extra processing, and then we get it back to our client, and they're going to do a couple of checks on it. There might be some defects there. And then we get the final contract. And is everything good? No, we decide to send it to one person so they can store it within their system. Then we turn around and, well, general counsel's got to store it within their system. Do we need multiple copies? Which one's right? All right, so we go into some of this litigation that we're talking about. How many copies do you get? Which one's the right one? I hope they're both the same. So my challenge as we identify these waste, it's like, great, we can identify it, but what do we do with it? Let's get rid of it. That's the tough part. This slide is to illustrate not that I took a process from 17 steps down to 10. That's what we want to do. We want to eliminate that waste. It does a couple things though. Look, I didn't eliminate everything, because you know, it's just like that reinforcement, right? You know, if you do it and it starts to stick, then it's good. Let's keep going down that path. But if you do the broad brush, okay, this is the way we're doing it. Now all of a sudden, this is the way we're going to do it. Us as human individuals, our brain just rocks our world. So sometimes we need the baby steps to work through it. And yeah, those things are easy and simple. We can make that happen. We don't have to eliminate it all. Don't tell our customers because they want cheaper, faster, better quality on time. But we want to get in there and figure out how we can eliminate that. But that takes everybody. So to do that, what do? We take action, we make a plan. We want to know who is doing what by when. We go through all the heavy work of saying, yeah, this is great, we want to do this. We make the plan, we figure out the new way to do it. But let's take it to the end zone. Let's take it and assign the task so that there's clarity of who's going to do what by when. Here again, another eye chart, but this really is just to illustrate, take the steps, put the formality around it and go. Who's heard the saying that goals, you know, are a lot more achieved when they're written down? It's true. This plan of taking action, this is what will get us from that world where there was a lot of steps and we had a lot of extra waste into what we see as the new world, the future state. So simply putting a name on it, saying this is what we're asking you to do, this is how we're going to measure success, and guess what? The team really needs it done by this. This is really being done in a group setting. So all that I talked about, the tools and techniques are pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Don't need any degrees to do that. Everybody is fully capable to do it. That's the 10% of the issue. The 90% is the people. How many people like to change? No? No hands? Nobody likes to change? Who likes progress? Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't want to stay the same way. Each and every one of us, though, I bet, has changed. Changed jobs, sitting next to a gentleman at lunch there. Changed jobs, right? Start families. I've got boy, girl, 6-year-olds. I'll be 6 tomorrow. Change for me is we're having a birthday party for 30 kids. Anxiety. We'll go through with change if there's something in it for us, if we see the value. And so as you're rolling out one of these process changes, as you're looking at anything you're trying to do, you're going to get resistors. People that says, no, just not going to do it. Nope. What they're missing is the what's in it for them. They don't see the personal benefit. We all are going to do something if there's personal benefit to us. Barring any regulations and stuff like that, some of that stuff we have to be forced to change to do. So what I suggest is, as you're going through this, and to me, even outside the process world, this whole people side of it, and the next slide I think really starts to take more of it home, is get the people involved that are impacted from the process, have the discussion, figure out what they're going for, what they need, and how they can get value out of it. Because we all know that we need to move that needle, because we all have that same customer need. They want it faster, cheaper, better quality, on time, stuff like that. We're trying to provide to their value. And then are you willing to experiment? Instead of just forcing it, say, yeah, hey, let's try this. You know, it just doesn't have to be a broad brush stroke change today. Let's try an experiment. Let's see if it's going to value. If not, guess what? It doesn't cost anything to go back. We'll just go back to the old process. But being open to that change, I think that sets a little bit more than just saying, no, you're going to be forced to change and do this. That's some of the people side of it. So on the people side of it, we talk about change management. What I've been talking about, the first part of my presentation, has kind of been the process improvement, the tool side of it, which is the bottom side there. Figure out what's our business need. What are we trying to get to? How do we get better? Put all the brains together. Figure out what concept and design we think we want to roll out and try and experiment. Then we're going to implement. Are we always successful in implementing? Not always. I've heard it, there's two things. You either succeed or you learn. You never fail. And so that implementation is pretty key there, right? We got to make sure we kind of walk through that, then post-implementation. But the top part of the slide that really helps us understand the people side of it. These are in order by what you need. Each and every individual that's tied to that process, they all need to be going, they're all going through this same sequence. They have to have the awareness that there's a problem or an issue or a need to change. If that awareness isn't there, forget it. You're done even before you get started. But you can't have only awareness. They have to want to change. I mean, has anybody ever experienced that? You know, it's like, oh yeah, I know it's a problem. It's just don't want to touch it. It's too much. That desire to change is so important. If you don't have the awareness and desire to change, it's not going to go. Go back. Think about some of those implementations you've had. Think about the team. Have they all been aware of the need? Have they all really had the desire to change? Resistance is going to be natural. It's going to happen. You want that. You don't want just complacency. You don't want just someone to say, yeah, let's do it. Are they really engaged? Are they bringing their A game to the table? You want that resistance, but there's a curve that they have to go through to realize that there is some importance to the change. But if we get them through that, then it's downhill from there. Knowledge. Do they have the knowledge that it's going to take to implement this new change? You know, there might be new rules or regulations. Are they capable of knowing it? Do we need to train them? I heard a lot today about training. Those are great. We need to keep doing that. If your organization is all of a sudden changing, well, I'll use a real life example where our organization is changing our software system. So now everybody that knows how to do emails and PowerPoints and Excel and all that, I mean, because we run our businesses off Excel, right? I don't know how those other ERP companies live. Excel is where everything's done. Now we're going to rock their world. There's going to be 200 plus individuals that are going to be rocked. They're like, wait, where's that fun little button I used to push to get email started? That's change. We're going to rock their world. They need to send out emails, but now we're going to say, you're going to do it a different way. We have to help them through that change because guess what? The organization needs those tools to keep going. So we'll give them the training. We'll give them the knowledge. We don't want to make the change, but we're being forced to. So that's fine. But that awareness has to be out there. And then I heard it from the panel this morning about they've got some new tools out there that they're using. There's some roadblocks, right? Road bumps that they're going through. They've done the training. It's out there, but the ability isn't there yet. How many people can just, you know, if you're faced with an issue, you're like, oh yeah, I know what to do. That comes with time. That comes with learning. I was going to say failure, but that comes with doing it wrong. That ability. Now you're saying it's like, oh yeah, the way you used to do it, forget it. Throw that out the window. Here's how you're going to do it. Well, that's great, but if you're not hands-on doing it, you don't get what the next bullet is, the reinforcement. So there's kind of a cycle between the ability and the reinforcement. There's like, okay, I've got the ability, but I'm going to do it once. Okay, yeah, I feel a little bit better. I didn't get any negative feedback from that. That's positive reinforcement. Do it again, do it again, do it again. Guess what? Now we're creating a new habit. Those habits are tough. We're creatures of habits. We like to do stuff the same way over and over again. That's where the challenge comes in with change management people. So being efficient, those are my slides. Did I hit the objectives? Let's try and increase awareness. How can you provide better value to your customers, making people's lives easier. Be selfish, make your life easier. It might take some work, but in the long run, it can actually help. I can give an example of, in our business, mechanics lien waivers are extremely important. It's a document that everybody questions, well, why do we need it? Why do we need it? Well, the banks won't give us money until we show proof that we're paying our subcontractors, right? So it's a little paper trail for everything. The level of business that we had has rewarded some of our trades that they don't get just the small little envelope with 3 or 4 in it. They get the big one with the nice big stack. Those were pieces of paper that we would print off, send to them every month, and then the poor controller on the other end would have to say, oh yeah, I got that check, sign, date. Gave him writer's cramp. But that was the reward we were given. It was like, great, we're doing more business, here's more paper to sign. Brutal, painful. We actually sat down and thought about it and talked about it and did some concepting, and now we have an electronic system. It's not DocuSign, but we're electronically signing lien waivers. Real quick, centralized system, you know where it's at. We're still fulfilling our obligation for lien waivers, but yet it took what was basically 10 touches per piece of paper, per check. It took it down to a few keystrokes. Last I checked, we're up into the 60,000, and the system's probably 4 years old, 3 years old. We're up into the 60,000 lien waivers that have been signed to that system. Think of all the waste that's been removed from there. Not just the paper, but all the time, all the waiting, all the processing, and we're still fulfilling our obligation to the bank. So some of those things, you might think about your day-to-day brute force. I challenge you, sit back and think about it. Does it really make sense that I do this, or is there a better way? Thank you. Any questions? Trying to be efficient on time. Thank you.